Hello. Okay, now let us continue with our lesson packing, which is written by Jeremy K. Jeremy and his own experiences over here. So now it's time to find out whether they pack the hampers properly or not. So it was author's turn now to sit calm and watch both the friends packing the hampers properly, or they also create a mess. So, they began in a light-hearted spirit, evidently intending to show me how to do it. I made no comment. I only waited. See, what does it mean? That when both the friends went to pack the hampers, they just show off. See now how we are doing the packing. We are not like you, how you every time forget the things to pack it. You unpack the bag, again you pack it, again unpacking it. See how we do the packing of the hamper. This will teach you everything. So the attitude was like that. So author made no comment. He only waited because he knew his friends very well. With the exception of George, Harris is the worst packer in this world, and I looked at the piles of plates and cups and kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves and cakes and tomatoes, etc. I felt that the thing would soon become exciting. So, except Harris, except George, Harris was the worst packer in the world according to the author. And he just observed the piles of plates, cups, kettles, bottles, jars, pies, toast, cakes, tomatoes, etc. Everything which was needed, which were needed to be packed. And it was very exciting to watch the scene now, how they are going to pack. It did. They started with breaking a cup. That was the first thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. So the first thing they did was to break the cup. They broke the cup and they just to show their attitude is like that. Oh, we are just trying to catch your attention. Yeah, we have done it deliberately. Okay, so we have not done it by mistake, but deliberately, just to catch your attention. That's it. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it. And they had to pick out the tomato with the spoon. So what Harris did, Harris put the strawberry jam bottle on the top of a tomato. And we know that jam bottles are very heavy. So he squashed the tomato. And they had to take out the tomato with a spoon. And then it was George's turn and he trod on the butter. I didn't say anything. Trod on means stepped on. So what George did, he stepped on the butter, and author, he didn't say anything. But I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. It irritated them more than anything, and I think I could have said. I felt that. So the author was not in the mood to help the friends. He was just enjoying what they were doing, and this thing irritated both of them. Okay, it made them nervous and excited, and they stepped on things and put things behind them, and they then couldn't find them when they wanted them, and they packed the pies at the bottom and put heavy things on top and smashed the pies in. So every now and then they used to put the things and forget the thing and again put the thing out, and what they were doing, God knows. And next thing they did was they put the pies at the bottom of the bag and then put all the heavy things on all the pies. Okay, and they smashed the pies. Okay, first they broke the cup, second they destroyed the tomatoes, and now they had smashed the pies. They upset salt over everything, and as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with one and two pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. So what they did, they upset salt over everything. They sprinkled by mistakenly, they sprinkled salt over everything which was to be eaten, and also on the butter itself. After George had got it off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. So what? Okay, George had trodden on the butter. Okay, so that butter had got stuck to his slippers. So they tried to put out the butter from the slipper and they put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in, and what was in wouldn't come out. So initially when they were trying to put the butter in the kettle, it was not going in. Okay, and when it finally went in, it is difficult to get that thing out of the kettle. So they did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair, and Harris sat on it. Finally they had to scrape the butter which was there in the kettle with the help of the spoon, and then they put the butter on the chair, and Harris sat on the butter, and it got stuck to him, you know where. And they went looking for it all over the room, and they through all over the room they were looking for the butter which they had kept it on the chair. I'll take my oath, I put it down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. George stared at the empty seat, means chair, and he said, I swear I kept it there on the chair where it had gone. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said Harris. Harris said, yeah, I did see you kept it on the chair. Okay. Then they started round the room again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and stared at one another. So they started looking for the butter from one end of the room. They took a round and they met at the center, and they looked at each other. And they didn't get the butter where they had kept it. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. And George took a round. He went back at the back of the Harris and he saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. So he exclaimed very surprisingly also, and they were deliberately they were looking for it. No, so he finally found it over there. So he said, why, here it is all the time. So Harris, he just turned around, he spinned around and said, where is the butter, where is the butter, like this. Stand still, can't you, roared George, flying after him. And they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Montmorency now enters the dog. Their dog, his name is Montmorency. Montmorency was in it all. Of course, Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. If he can squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted and be a perfect nuisance and make people mad and have things thrown at his head, and then he feels his day has been his day has not been wasted. So this was Montmorency. Montmorency's ambition means, according to author, Montmorency was a kind of a dog where he is not required. He goes there and he disturbs them and he irritates them. Finally, when the person gets irritated and hit him something on his head, at that time he is satisfied. Okay, now my day is done. I am very happy. You hit me, and he goes off. So he disturbs a lot. And there in that scene entered Montmorency. To get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is his highest aim and object. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. So to disturb the person and get what is that, the thing over there, and get cursed by that person was his highest aim in his life. And when the thing gets accomplished, when he gets the cursing, he gets the beating, person is cursing him, okay, at that time he is very, very proud of himself. See, I have done my job and I'm happy today. Okay, so he came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed. And he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. So what Montmorency did, Montmorency sat on the things which were supposed to get packed in the hamper. And when both of them were searching the things with their hands, and what did they find? They found the wet, cold nose of Montmorency. Okay. He put his leg in the jam. Okay, Montmorency, he put his leg into the jam bottle and he worried the teaspoons. Worried the teaspoons means he disturbed the order of the teaspoons, and he pretended that lemons were rats, and he thought that lemons were rats, and he got into the hamper. He himself, he got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. So before Harris could land him, means before Harris could beat him with the frying pan, he literally squashed 3 lemons. Okay, Harris said, I encouraged him. I means Harris is blaming author here, author, to encourage these kinds of habits of Montmorency. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It's the natural original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. So according to the author, he was not responsible to encourage Montmorency to do such things. But dogs like Montmorency are born with original sin in them, and they do it naturally. The packing was done at 12:50, and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be broken, nothing would be found broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken. Now let it be. We can't help in that. So which reflection seemed to comfort him. Reflection means thought. So this thought seemed to comfort him. Okay, if anything is broken, let it be. We can't help in that. So he also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night, and we went upstairs. So all of them, they went upstairs, and Harris was to stay with them that night. So they tossed they tossed the bed, and Harris had to sleep with me. Okay, me means author. He said, do you prefer the inside or the outside, Jay? So Harris asked author whether he would love to sleep inside the bed or outside the bed. I said I generally preferred to sleep inside a bed. Harris said it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? So George here was busy to set the time alarm, okay, to wake both of them. So Harris said 7. I said no, 6, because I want to write some letters. So author suggested that he should get woke up at 6 o'clock, so because he had to write some letters. Harris and I had a bit of a row over it, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. So Harris was saying 7 and author was saying 6 o'clock. So both of them, they bargained. Split the difference means that they agreed on 6:30, because it was halfway between 6 and 7. It's like a bargain, not yours and mine. 6:30 a.m. will wake, okay. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. George made no answer, and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time. So we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning, and went to bed ourselves. So when they they asked George to wake them up at 6:30 a.m. and they looked what George was doing. Okay, they went to George and they found that he was already fast asleep. So what they did, they took him, they carried him to the bath, okay, and they kept him over there so that when he would tumble himself into the bathtub, he would wake up and wake them also up in the morning. So here the story gets over. I hope you have enjoyed it. The lesson, the story was all about packing. The way of packing these 3 friends, they did. It was all terrific, but funny as well, which made all of us laugh. I hope you have enjoyed this kind of packing and you would not do it in the future. You would do everything carefully. Okay, so we have to learn from this lesson and the author and his friends that we should do packing systematically and carefully. We should not forget anything while packing. We may forget something or the other, but we should not do, array, this thing is done, oh, that thing, oh, this. No, every time packing and unpacking the bags. So what we should do the planning, write down what you are supposed to pack, and keep those things in the bag and go on ticking the list. Okay, toothbrush taken, soap taken, this cloth, towel, everything. So this things are necessary to do the packing to avoid such a hilarious episode in our life. So this was the lesson all about. Please go through both the videos, read the whole chapter, underline the difficult words in the textbook, as well as write them in your notebook, as it was explained how to do it in the previous video. And leave your comments in the comment section so that I'll come to know how many of you have watched the video. Till then, bye.